Hello, my name's Ileana Clark and I'm a tutor at the Maitland Regional Art Gallery. We're standing in an exhibition here called Hello Again, It's Nice to See Your Face, and it's a collection from the Maitland Regional Gallery. Today I'll be doing a demonstration in portraiture. It will start with basic steps and work up to a form where you can develop in layers and colour. And I'm going to reference a painting that's in this exhibition called Mirror Self-portrait by Norma Allen. Norma Allen, just to give you a bit of background, she was a finalist in the Archibald Art Prize in 1960, and she was a Newcastle lady, had been part of the National Art School under the tutorship of John Passanel. I mention that because it's really interesting to see that painting has a very strong influence of Cézanne and Cubist style. And that's what drew me in this painting. So I'll begin now to show the basic steps. So the first steps will be starting with tilts of the head and looking at the oval, or what I'd call an egg shape, because looking at three-dimensional is very important. Thinking of three-dimensional rather than a flat shape. So what I start with is looking at the angle of the face, and I take a straight line down the centre of the face, keeping my arm straight. That's very important to keep your arm straight when you're making measurements. And I'm looking at the angle from the top of the head to the chin, down the centre, over the nose, and I can transfer that roughly like that, making a mark. I think it's about that. I'm using my eyes to flick back and forth to see if that could be right. So that angle, even if you use the straight line that's in behind that painting or the edge of the paper, that would be a good way to make sure you've got the right axis. You know, something, is it like that? I think that's about right. Okay, so I make quite a few light lines to make sure that, you know, I can be flexible with it. And even though this is quite a strong colour, once it's layered, you won't see it. So after I've done that, I look at the shape of the head overall, which they say an egg shape in general. It is a 3/4 view, so I won't be, the centre of the line of the face is actually on a 3/4 angle. So let me just get a general shape. Usually an egg shape's like that, but she's got a very wide side of her face. So something like this. Okay. The chin to the top of the head. Now the top of the head doesn't mean it's the top of the hair. The hairline is usually a bit above that as well. So I've got that. Now I'm going to look at the features where they're mapped, and the mapping, would usually speaking, is mapping the eyes across halfway between the top of the head to the chin, doing something like this. Then between the eyes and the chin, halfway, is the nose. And between the nose and the chin, halfway, are the lips. So once I've done that, I start to draw in the features a little bit more. Okay, so we've got a rough mapping of the features. Of course, there's got to be adjustment, but with colour it will transform, hopefully. So we just keep on being as flexible as possible, so there's still a lot of lines overlapping and structural lines there. So I'm just going to put in the hair, just kind of a guide, looking at how much forehead will be important to see the actual shape of forehead. And once this is in, it gives you a bit more form, and then even working on the edges on the outside. So now we've mapped out the features roughly. The colour will be added, and I'll start up with cool colours, which are, in this instance will be green, because there's quite a lot of green in that painting, which has that coolness but not totally cold like a blue would be. So I'm just going into where I see the greens applied. So I'm just going to sort of add a bit more to the background, which will sort of help it put it in context. And portraits is tricky with the fact that you need to be fairly accurate, and that's just with practice, really. You can't get away with, if you want to do a realistic sort of portrait, even though this is slightly semi-abstract, there is still quite a strong realism, of course, to it. So the background adds not only to the context, but it also emphasises the face more than anything. Some of the edges are lost with the background. So you'll find that, for instance, in this area here, there's not very much difference between the tones. So you can bring a colour from the face into the background as well, which links the whole thing together. And then you can make a contrast and pick up the edge somewhere else. As you can see, I keep on adding more layers, and as I add more layers, there's more depth, there's more form coming up together. So the first kind of application is done with a light layering, and then as you keep on working, you'll find that you need to add more and more layers of colour to give that form. Okay, so this is as far as I'll go for the moment, because I think after a while you get a little bit tired, you need time to step back from it, have another good look at what needs fixing. So just drawing from features, then just doing light layers, and then looking at blurring some more, putting in dark, the background, so on. But the features, even if you drew just one aspect of it, that would help you to build up. But again, as I keep saying, is just the looking at angles and lines, how they're related to maybe the straight edge, and keep readjusting it. So there are other mediums you could use. Graphite, which I have here as well, and a study that I did in layers in coloured pencils. So have a go at something different. Charcoal's great, especially if you want to rub in and make a really soft image. So now this is as far as I'll go for the moment, but I hope it gives you an idea of, or encourage you to come to the gallery. There's some wonderful portraits here to enjoy and experience some drawing here in the gallery. Bring a little sketch pad and enjoy that process.